Hi. In this discussion for ambient guitar, I'd like to talk about a technique that is very, very useful, and it's called parallel chord movement or chord planing. This really started with the composer Debussy. What he would do is in his compositions, he would move a chord exactly up and down the piano, which got him in a lot of trouble because in those days you weren't supposed to do that. But over the years, many people have used this technique, especially in jazz, where you take a chord. Let's just take a plain. Actually, we do it all the time in rock songs with power chords. When you move it up, you're moving. That's parallel motion. If you did a major chord, right? That's parallel movement. So we do it all the time. However, you can use this with many other types of chords. For example, let's take a major seventh chord on the guitar. It's a very beautiful chord. Now, let's move it up and down the neck just by sound. We're not worrying about a key or a scale, just pure color. Okay? So if you made a chord progression out of that, you see the possibilities, because when you solo to that or write a song to that, you're now not in one key. You're going by the chord movement, which of course they do in jazz many, many times. Now you can do that with other chords. Let's take a plain major chord. Right? Now I mentioned this before, but in the end of the song, under the bridge, they use this in a really wonderful way. An A chord, an A minor, a G, and an F. But they use a pedal tone. A pedal tone is a note that is played throughout the chord as the chords change. So think of the chords either under or above or maybe through. I'll show you an example. But there the E keeps ringing. So here we have two techniques that are really useful for changing the colors of chords, which I like to think about quite a bit, is thinking in the same terms as a painter would think, to create colors and moods and mixing the colors. The same with on the guitar. If you add notes, let's take that. Let's just take the chord planing part. Now I'll do it without the E pedal. Now with the E pedal. Yeah. See how the color changes? Let's take maybe not a chord you might be using, a chord by fourths. So here we have you could solo like a blues scale. And solo using one chord to plane. So instead of playing it as a single note, you would use a chord. And you could do that with any chord you wish. So you're really moving away from a tonal center, whether it would be a major key or a minor key. You're going now on pure color. Another technique to use with the chord planing technique that's very useful is the drone. Now, you probably use the drone, but a drone, it would be one note that if you could, on the guitar it's a little difficult, but maybe with a certain type of pedals you could, the note stays, usually maybe in the bass part, and then the chords will float above it, maybe like clouds floating above a lower mountain or something. Think of, here's the drone and here's the chords floating above. Bagpipes use drones. One note keeps droning on, and they play their melodies above that note. In fact, they feel the bagpipes when armies used to march in war against each other. They would actually march, and then you need a lot of courage to march into that gunfire. They use the bugle or drums or the bagpipes. It instills sort of almost a hypnotic effect to move on and forget what you're moving into, but give you courage. And so a drone can be used in many ways. So if I use a drone, let's say I'm going to repeat a note. Let's say I'm going to repeat this note and play. Now what I used there was actually the Dorian mode on D minor, E minor, F, G. I could use the A minor too. If you're interested in modal music, check out my discussions on, you'll see I talk about the Dorian mode, the Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian. And this is very useful, modal harmonies. It gives you a different sound from major or minor. So here we have. And if you were to tune down to D, give you more color. So what the point of this discussion is that you could take any chord you wish, move it in any way by color, or let's take a scale. Let's take well, I used the blues scale before, but let's take. Let's take that part of that blues scale, and we'll use a minor 6 chord. So you see the possibilities. It's truly endless. So that's what I wanted to just mention to you. If you're interested in parallel chord movement, it gives you the opportunity to make up chord progressions that are completely free of any scale or key center. You could use a scale as either have the scale drive the. So here's a C major, and let's say I use a C scale. First 5 notes. So if I go. If I were to do that in the key of C, it would be C major 7, F major 7, E minor. So, as I said, all these ideas that I talk about in other discussions. If you're interested, pandiatonic harmony where the chords have no movement at all. Each one stands alone, a pillar of color. Talk about 12-tone technique. This is all just to give you an endless supply of ideas for chords and melody, moving them and constructing them. So thank you very much for your time.